What is going on? This is the craziest looking arena chest ever. Not only does it have Haunted My Beloved and High Asswing, it also has an actual Redemption Malice in it. I don't think this will be there for very long, but oh my goodness, if this were to stay for the whole week, that would be insanity. Anyway, we do have new arena, and of course we have the new heroic race starting today with the brand new high TelekInetic Dragon available. So this looks like it is one of the typical heroic races that we're used to, not marathons. It is going to be a regular heroic race. It is 11 days long. And in these heroic races, you either need to come first to get your hands on the new heroic dragon. I mean, she's got two ancient world elements, flame and nature, which, you know, is a nice set of elements. I think I don't mind her design, she's okay. But either you need to come first in your bracket of players, so we have 8 players here, or you can alternatively get to lap 15 and guarantee that you get the dragon. But on top of getting to lap 15, we also have 200 orbs on lap 16. We do have a cool little skin for her, which puts some gold on her, and then we do have lap 18 that gives those 500 orbs. So if you were to really hard grind out this heroic race and get to 18, you could expect like an E4 empowerment level 4 heroic, pretty much just from playing this event and the extra quests that come with it. So usually I would recommend getting to lap 18 if you can, but absolute minimum would be lap 15. And lap 15 is still very possible even if you have a very busy life schedule, but we will of course be going through all of that today along with our guide, because inside my Discord server I have posted the guide straight from Ditlep. I do also like the Deep List one, but it doesn't appear to be up yet for me. And then the other event that we've got on today is also the Maze Island event. And it's pretty much the same as the previous mazes, but you can see the total cost here in the DC event guide section. And so along with the heroic race, we have the maze event over here. And the advice for this maze event is going to be exactly the same as the advice was for the other maze events recently, which is going to be you should go along the Keys path. And what I mean by the Keys path is you see Sandstorm Dragon here, right? You go through the path, we can pick up these new Bone Claw items because that's for the new collection, and you'll see a green key here, and then you go from that, you go onto the green path, you make your way through the green path, blah blah blah, you get up some more claws, you pick up the guard insignias that are also on this path, you pick up the grey key, and you keep going. So the reason you go on this path is because this is the only path that actually has event items, the Bone Claws, and it's the only one that has guard insignias. So going down the other paths, honestly, is a bit of a waste, but definitely go down the Keys path in the maze event. And of course, we do have the starting currency for this. You can also get the maze currency just from, say, clicking from all of your habitats, or feeding dragons is normally the easiest way. And you should also pay attention to what your quests are in the heroic race as well. On top of that, of course, we're also going to have quests. And so when we've got quests ongoing, you want to be logging in to do your quests as soon as you possibly can, just because if you manage to log in really diligently, you can get bonus event items, but also you get bonus currency on your way through as well. So right now, we actually have 3 new quests that have started. We've got the VIP Trial Karma, so this is what, the 3rd one, the Razor Claws quest for the maze, and we have the Estival quest because we just had the leaderboard finish for them. But definitely we'll make sure that we do the maze one first, and then we will jump into the heroic race stuff. So heroic races, it is mainly going to come down to how often you log in through the entire duration of the event. So don't worry where your opponents are right now or right at the beginning of the event, because the thing that actually is going to matter is where your placement is at the end of the 11 days. It doesn't actually matter where you are at the end of day 1 or day 2. What matters is whether you get to that lap 18 by the end. And so if you want to do as well as you possibly can, you need to be logging in once the cooldowns are finished on all of these quests. Some of these quests don't have cooldowns, but some of them will have cooldowns and also item pools that you need to be very, very aware of. So for instance, on lap 1, node 1, I know that there aren't any cooldowns, and all that we have to do is feed our dragons up. And the easiest way to do this is, say, you can get a Terra Dragon egg with gold, pop it into your hatchery, hatch the egg, and then just feed up the dragon. Or if you've got another level 1 dragon somewhere, you can just feed up that one instead. I don't know where I've put all my level 1s. I could find them from the codex, but If you don't want to waste any of your food, just get a level 1 dragon, place it, and then feed up that bad boy until you get the 4 items that you need. So once you see the little beetle items appear and once you see the leaderboard symbol pop up, that's when you know that you've gotten all of the items for this node. And no, wrong event, I need to remember it's up here. But now we have the gold collecting quest, which is another super easy one, and the easiest way to do this is any habitat that has a gold symbol above it. If you click that, you see that the leaderboard symbol appears, and then you know that you can move on to the next quest. But if you don't have many habitats, all that you need to do is place a ton of terra habitats. So kind of like I've done here, you see a terra habitat. They can be level 1 terra habitats. Put terra dragons inside them and then wait until you see the gold symbol, because the fuller the habitat is, the higher the chances of you getting an item. So I always wait until I at least see the gold symbol and then I collect from there. Anyway, opening up, now we have our first annoying quest of the heroic race, which is getting items by collecting food. And in this one, you can try and pre-farm some long timer food to, you know, give you an instant item. However, the best food that you're going to be using during this event is this item right here, which is the shortest timer bluebell bouquets. And the reason why you typically use these is because if you use bluebell bouquets, you don't have to risk potentially, you know, screwing yourself over and having to wait on these nodes. So I would suggest putting bluebell bouquets either into all of your farms, or you could put like most of your farms with bluebell bouquets, like 90% of them or 80% of them. And then in the rest of the farms, you can put in 12-hour food or something like that, or 1-day food. If you still want to be generating a decent amount of food or some amount of food out of your farms, you can do that. But just because I'm quite lazy when it comes to the heroic races, sometimes when it asks you to collect a lot of food at once, it can be really annoying unless you've got all the farms active. So I'd always suggest putting bluebell bouquets in all of them, but the option is there for you to do. So there is that quest done. Next one we've got is feeding dragons again, which is nice and easy. And I did save that terror because I knew that we were going to have another one soon. So we come back to our low level terror, we feed him up. We get our beetle items, but one thing that you'll notice is that we didn't get the leaderboard pop up because we haven't actually finished this quest. And if you're new to these events, you're probably thinking, well, why? Because I can see that you fed him enough times, he should have been able to get all the items, right? Well, the reason why we can't get this on lap 1 node 4 is because there is an item pool limit. And so this is something really, really important to understand about heroic races, and the only place that you're going to find this information is not from an official source, unless you wait for the official guides to get uploaded. But if you want, I'm mainly talking about in-game, there's no way to see it. If you want to have a good guide for it, Ditlek, for instance, has it. So on lap 1, you can click the lap 1 button, or if you're on lap 4, you click lap 4. But if we go to lap 01 and then we scroll down, you'll see lap 1, node 4, feed dragons. There is a number of 6 that we need. However, there is only a pool of 5 items that appears that you can collect all at once. And so if we wanted to collect this last item, no matter how many times we feed a dragon, we're not going to get this item until we've waited 5 minutes. Because essentially the game makes you wait until it puts another item available to be collected into the pool. So we wait 5 minutes and then we'd be able to get that final item. I'm just going to skip this because it's 1 gem and I don't want to have to wait a whole 5 minutes, but usually you'd wait 5 minutes and then come back. But let's just click that to skip it. We move on to the next node, and then we have getting items from battles. And these battle ones, you can always do the first battle straight away, and you can go into the battle with any dragon that you want. So I normally just do it with Sinful just to guarantee that I'm going to finish it no matter what. And then you'll see that this other battle here, we have to wait 15 minutes. So it does actually tell us the length of time we have to wait for this one, luckily. Or we can skip it for 2 gems. But you're going to see 3 different costs on this one, because either we can skip the battle here for 4 gems, which is more expensive. We can finish the whole node for 3 gems, which is still more expensive. You can go into the battle and skip for 2 gems, which is the cheapest. The reason why this happens is because there's just a different value placed based on the time remaining. So there'll be a flat value if you haven't skipped any other battles, for instance. There'll be a price on that. or you can go into the battle, and if there's a very, very short timer, you can just skip it for a limited amount. But these battles can get up to like 6, 8, 12 hours long between each wait. So for the like 6+ hour wait timers, 2-hour wait timers, normally you're better off skipping here. But always check your 3 different skippable buttons if you are going to skip anything. And for instance, this one, it's cheap, so rather than waiting 13 minutes, I'm just going to skip this one because I'm here with you, and you don't want to be waiting 15 minutes for that for no reason, just while I'm trying to explain it. So then we finish off lap 1, we get 20 gems, which is a nice little bonus, and then we throw ourselves into lap 2. And basically whatever quest you see, they're just going to repeat and repeat and repeat. We haven't done breeding and hatching as of yet, or league battles, but we will come to those very shortly. So lap 2, node 1. Typically node 1, node 2 don't have cooldowns like pools or timers, but that does change further into the event. But again, we can go over to our Terror Dragon. He's getting a bit leveled now, so we'll probably sell him in a second just to avoid wasting. So level 19, we can sell him and then get a new one. Then we come back, and now we've got get items by collecting food and get items by collecting gold. So I'm going to collect the food here, but there's no guarantee that we get all the items that we need. 4 out of 6. This should be a 6 out of 6 node if I check, which it is, so that means that we have to start replanting the food, and there's only a 10% chance of you getting the food item for each collect. So you could be sitting there for 5 solid minutes just trying to get an item. It can happen. It would be very unlucky, but it does happen, so just be aware of that. And the gold collecting, I have done that one. So in a situation like this, we can still collect the other 2 food items, so I'm not going to skip anything. That would just be a massive waste of gems. Whenever there is no cooldown timer and no pool timer that we have to wait for, don't ever use your gems, because it's just a massive waste for absolutely no good reason. Like, did you see that? We just collected from all of our farms there and we got no item. So if you go into this event, and it's going to happen with the breeding and it'll happen with the hatching as well, if you go into this, you go to collect the food and you don't get an item, don't assume that it's because, I don't know, there is a pool. Always check Ditlep, that is the wrong thing. Always check Ditlep or Deatlist or whatever guide you're using, just to see if there is a minimum wait timer present, because this is the one that you want to care about, really, the minimum timer. Because if you collect all of the items that you can and then you wait, there would be like a minimum amount of time it takes to finish that node. But in this case, there is no wait timer, so we are just collecting until we get those 2 food items appear. And sometimes it will still screw you over, even though the chances are that you should have already gotten an item. So it's very common for that to occur. Just very quickly while we're here, we do have that arena like I mentioned, which does have the usual arena rewards. We've got the cool dragons in it, which I will try and open one of these and see if we get a malice out of it. And then the other collection event that we've got going on at the moment is the one for the bone claws, which has trade essence. It's got joker orbs, it's got perks, it's got the razor claws dragon, and then orbs for the dragon himself and some more jokers. So when you're going through these events, picking up these claws, this is the dragon that you could get. Normally free to play, we can get around the 20-ish, maybe 25-ish mark. So expect up to that amount of eventing items when you're going through. But anyway, we got our 2 food items finally. And now we come up to our League Battles quest. And for this one, it is pretty simple. All that you have to do is go and open up your League Battles and do the fight. We do also have an alliance chest on for League Battles, so people are going to be more inclined than usual to spend the gems on it. But when you do your League Battles, you've only got a limited amount of energy, and on these really early nodes, I wouldn't recommend doing all of your League Battles straight away. So it's only asked us to do 1 League Battle right now. I wouldn't use the other 2 League energy as of yet, because you're probably going to end up running into your next set of League Battles before the cooldown would be ready. So like for League Battles, there is a 6-hour cooldown between them, so you would have to wait a full 6 hours, or you would have to spend gems on it to refill the bar. And the higher in the league brackets you are, the more expensive it is actually. So for me, it's like 24 gems or something. Whereas for a newer player that's like at league, I don't know, 10 or something, it's going to be exceedingly cheap. So I would highly suggest not trying to get to League 400 out of 400 because this is the limit, and it just keeps repeating at that point. I would recommend not trying to get here as fast as possible because otherwise it's just going to cost you more gems from this point onwards. Now we've got more food collecting, so I'm just going to get that started with the cooldown. We got one item, well, thank you game, and we also have a battle to do. So sometimes you're going to have individual quests that ask you to do, other times you're going to have 2 different quests per node. This is another really quick 15-minute cooldown, or you can skip it with 2 gems. And since I'm not going to wait 15 minutes while I'm in the middle of explaining something, I'll probably end up skipping it. But also, you should be very mindful of how long it takes you to collect all of your food items. Because, like, if you only get 1 item per set of collects or none, it could genuinely take you 5 minutes just to collect these food items. And at that point, it's like, well, might as well wait the 10 minutes, right? But it depends on just how desperate you are to come first in this event and really try and steamroll this event as quickly as you can. If you're gonna ask how many gems would it cost a typical person to get to lap 18, well, that depends on how diligently they're logging in through the whole event, because the more diligent you are with the logins, the more that you stick to these timers exactly, well, the less it's gonna cost you, because if you're doing that, you're going to reach those goals without having to spend the gems. But I see a lot of players that are sort of active and, you know, doing all the quests as they can and they should, or as much as they possibly can for their lifestyle. It normally costs them about 200-ish, maybe like 200 to 400 is roughly where I see people spend. Do I think that this heroic is worth 400 gems to get to E4-ish? It's debatable. But if you don't have any heroics that are at a high empowerment level, then possibly. If you've already got, say, a dragon with beauty, a dragon with happy, a dragon with flame, and a dragon with nature that already has those elements at a high empowerment, well, it's not as desperate technically. But at the same time, if you've only got 1 dragon that has those, well, what's better than 1 dragon at empowerment level 4? Well, 2 dragons at empowerment level 4 to help you in that arena, right? And I'm someone that's always said, you're better off having more options rather than fewer options. And I think it's a big problem that players have when they're like, oh, well, it's just another regular heroic, so it's whatever. And yeah, it's gonna be pretty much the same as the other heroics, so she's not like a crazy good heroic or a standout one from the basic ones, but she will be an option there if you ever need her during, I don't know, her various arenas. So personally, I think it is a good idea to try and get lap 18 if you can. Obviously do your heroic combats, but you will end up getting the heroic quests, which are the quests that give the most orbs for these heroics. You do have to spend gems on both skipping empowerment for them, and also if you're doing heroic combat, you'd need to skip the empowerment for that as well. But you also get paid back in gems. So you spend some gems, but you get given gems back at the same time. And so I'm just going to double check this one. Lap 2, node 4. Is there a wait timer on the food? So there is. So you'll see that for the collecting food, the pool is of 6. And for battling dragons, obviously there's that 15-minute wait timer. So normally I would recommend that you just wait this one out as it is, because 20 minutes total is not a lot of time. I'm just going to skip this one again because you're here with me and I want to move through the quests. Next one. We have more feeding dragons and our first really annoying quest, which is a lovely breeding quest. And this one, if you've never seen these events before, it is going to be using our classic Terra x Terra dragons. We've got stickers about this and everything. But Terra dragons are the basic dragons in the game. You can buy them from the shop. You can also use double Terra. But when you are using these dragons to breed, because this is the best option because it has the shortest timers and you can do the rebreed over and over again, like the food collecting, make sure they're not empowered, because you see in non-empowered Terra dragons, the only possible egg result is a Terra dragon. But if I throw in one of my empowered Terras, suddenly another dragon unlocks. And if you end up breeding one of these, that's it. Your race progress is gonna get destroyed. So always make sure you're breeding together 2 non-empowered Terra dragons. And the more of these breeding dens that you have available to do it, the better, because then, like you'll see, you're not guaranteed an item every time, so you're gonna have to do it a lot. And by a lot, I'm not kidding when I say that to get a single breeding item, I have had to do it 80 plus times before. It's only about a 10% chance each time you click this rebreed button, and then the item is generated when you click from that breeding den into the hatchery. As you just saw there, it appears that little like Greek, I don't know, plant symbol. That's how you know that you've gotten the item. So you just have to keep doing it until that happens, and there is no waiting item time for this one. So that is the reason why I knew that I could just, you know, keep breeding until I got the item. But it can genuinely take forever on the breeding quest, and it's the same for the hatching quest as well, and it's the same for the food quest. So food quest, hatching quest, breeding quests are all very, very similar, so do bear that in mind when you're going through these events. And now lap 2 node 5, if we go back to Ditlep, you'll see there is a 38-minute wait timer on feeding dragons, and once again, normally I would say wait this one out if you're spending, if you're saving gems and you're being as optimal with gems as you possibly can, but because you're here, I'm going to skip this one also. We're going to get our VR egg, and also be aware that what I'm doing, oh, 2nd anniversary, he's cute, but be aware that what I'm doing now is what some whales, as in big spenders that have lots of gems, will do anyway. I'm only doing it because you're here with me, but you will run into whales that will gem like this just all the time, constantly, because like I'm gonna stop gemming at some point when it's no longer, it just gets a bit too expensive at like more than 5 pretty much. But for others, they will just gem and gem and gem. So whether you actually come first in your race or not isn't too important, outside of potentially the legendary, because if you don't have the legendary, you can actually go into rescues. The reason why you'd want the legend for coming, say, first or second to third, this guy here, is because Scrapper, he will be used as part of the heroic combat quest, and so if you don't get Scrapper, you can't do the heroic combat quest. So you just need to get top 3 really. The reason why I say it doesn't matter whether you get top 1 is because if you're getting to lap 15 anyway, well, you're guaranteed the dragon, right? So you don't really have to worry about that. But you do need to at least get top 3 if you want to do heroic combats. But if you don't get the legend from coming top 3, you can always rescue them usually. So I'm just going to double check that he's definitely in here so that I'm not chatting hot garbage. And as you can see, he is there. But then obviously you've got to do the rescue, and then you've got to get the dragon actually, you know, summoned in time to do the quests as well. So that's a different issue in itself. But that is the general, I guess, loop of how you do these heroic races. It's pretty much the same as all the others, so if you just want to watch any of the other heroic race guides I've made, feel free to go and check them out. The other thing I've not really talked about as of yet is this booster spin, and now booster spins, I would only use them on battles. And the reason for that is because usually all of the other quests, you don't have to wait quite as long as you would for the battles quest. And plus, the battles quests require you to log in every hour. And to be honest, I don't think most people are logging into the game hourly. Some people will. If you're super duper diligent and you've got like nothing to do in life, maybe you're on school holidays or something, then yeah, you maybe can log in every hour. But most people can't. So that is the reason why I would recommend using these on the battle nodes. If you're someone that can't do your league battles as of yet, league battles will pretty much stop you from playing the event completely. And so you'll either have to gem your league battles, or you can use your booster spin on your league battles. But if you're someone like myself that can do all of your league battles, and that's ideally where you want to be, then you should just avoid using your skips on the league battles, unless it's going to save you tons of gems. But like, I know that no matter what battle I face in leagues, I'm always going to be able to finish it, unless a High Master Karma decides to block 700 times in a row, which is unavoidable. There's nothing you can do about that. Unless you use High Quantum Wrong Hole, I guess, or any of the quantums. So I guess there is a counter to it, technically. But not everyone's going to have quantum dragons available, so it's not a viable strategy for everyone. But anyway, we're just sitting here collecting this food for now. So this is lap 3, node 1. So again, we could come back to Ditlep, we go to lap 3, we scroll down, there's no minimums. Next quest we have is going to be league battles, hence why I said to keep your league battles energy. And then next one we're going to have is going to be more food collecting and more battling of dragons. But this one's going to have 3 items that we need for battling, which means that suddenly gemming the battles isn't as viable. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to wait out the first timer and then potentially skip the final battle, because that's the most optimal way of doing it gems wise. But anyway, we finished that one, and like I said, we've got our league battles here now, so we can now go into our league battles section and we can do 2 battles, but we're actually going to get an energy refresh after this battle, which means we're actually going to get energy back. So that is another thing that you can do with league battles to give yourself basically up to 6 battles in a row, because if you have 3 battles remaining on your list and you do the 3 battles, then you're going to get an energy refresh of 3, so then you could do 3 plus 3 battles, which is 6 battles. And that's how you can do some of these league quests that have higher requirements than just 3, but it depends on how many battles you have left available. And of course, when you finish your league battle section, or your section of battlers that you can face, then you do get some gems back. It's nowhere near as many as you'll be spending if you're just, you know, paying to refresh, but you do get gems back. So there is that. But we're just going to let Mama Bird take out these dragons. I do need to be ranking up my guards and Eternals and Ascendeds and Redemptions. I could name every single VIP type of dragon, and I need to rank all of them up. There is just no energy in my soul for it all. So let's not worry about that. But anyway, now we're onto this quest like I said. So we're going to get items by collecting food. So we'll start the timer off for that one first. So let's put in more bluebell bouquets, and then we get items from battles. So we go straight into this one, we'll do the battle. And I hope that this makes sense for the whole, you know, loop of how everything works. For anyone that's never played these events before, they're pretty simple, but you know, if you're not used to them, they can be a bit complicated the first time or second time you see them. So now that we've got 3 battles, and from this point onwards, I think it's 3 plus, or 4, or 5, or 6. Now, rather than me gemming this one for 3, you're going to see that there is a different cost here now if we'd have collected all the food as well, but we do need to collect all the food first before we even think about skipping anything really. But what I'd recommend for these battles is this one's going to have a 15-minute timer, but this one says that the total time is 1 hour, which means the final battle is going to have a longer timer than this one. So what you do is you wait the 15 minutes out for this one, and then what you'll do is you can skip the Little Red Riding Hood timer. That is how you can be as fast as possible. Obviously, you're still spending gems if you do that, which is not ideal for someone that either doesn't have many gems or is just very, very stingy with their gem usage. But that is how people will get ahead of you in this event, by gem skipping on the battles. So as long as you're aware that that exists, and also sometimes people might get ahead of you because they might have a set of 7 battles, and what they'll do is they'll use the skip right at the beginning of their set of battles, and they will get a full node skip, and they will skip 7 hours of having to wait basically. There's nothing that you can do about that. It is pretty much completely down to RNG. You just have to hope that you get good RNG and everyone else doesn't. Outside of that, just log in more often than they do. So there is that. And again, the only other quest that I haven't come across yet is going to be the hatching quest. So there is none on this one. But if we go to lap 4 and we scroll down, it's still all just random quests. Don't tell me they've taken away the hatching quest, but we've got more breeding. Here we go. Lap 5, node 4, for instance, we have a league battles and a hatching egg section. So for lap 5, you can do your league battle straight away, but then for the hatching eggs one, it's going to work pretty much exactly the same as the breeding one, except you don't have to do that extra step of, you know, putting the egg from the breeding den, because all that you need to do is go get egg, gold, terror, and then for as many spots as you've got, get egg, gold, terror, you get the egg, you click place, and then the moment that you click to put it into the habitat, so now is when you'd find out whether you get an item or not. And so it's going to be 10%, just like breeding is, so you're not guaranteed a terror egg every single time, but you're going to have to do it over and over and over and over again. And so since you're going to be using your breeding dens and your hatcheries a lot, and you're going to have to do a lot of breeding, normally what I'd recommend for the most optimal heroic race coverage ever is you see this breeding den over here where I've got 2 flame dragons breeding cosmic detonations. What you'd do is you'd put your 2 other breeding dens here, you'd put your hatchery next to it as well, and you'd put like a terror habitat that's empty next to those. And that would be the most optimal setup, because then you could do terror breeding in this one, this breeding sanctuary, and you could do terror breeding in these two as well. Ideally, you would not have a full hatchery going into this event either, because if you fill out your hatchery with like 1 day long egg timers, you've obviously got nowhere to hatch anything. So you want at least 2, I would say, of your breeding dens to be open during this event. You would want at least 3 to 4 hatchery slots open at all times during the event as well. And then if you want to, maybe do any random breeds in your extra breeding sanctuary. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll either do cosmic detonation breeds, or maybe I'll do breeding event island breeds, but you want at least 2, I would say. I've played enough events at this point in time to just say that it feels so much nicer playing these events if you have at least 2 slots open. And you can do it with just 2 breeding slots and 2 hatchery slots, or 1 breeding den and 2 hatchery slots, or 1 hatchery slot. But it will take you infinitely longer. And some of these quests, eventually, they will require you to breed 14 times. Even lap 5 requires you to breed 6 items worth of dragons. So that could be 60 breeds, it could be 100 breeds, it could be 6 breeds. It's very much down to RNG. So just be aware you might have to do breeds 100 plus times just for lap 5. And then like lap 14, if I scroll down, you'll see there is 14 required for that one. But to be fair, you can only do 7 at a time. So you'd have to do 7 breeds, go to sleep, wake up in 8 hours, 20 minutes, and do another 7 breeds. But that could take ages. So you want as many breeding dens and as many hatchery slots available as you possibly can to make sure that it doesn't take you 16 hours to breed them. But anyway, that is all that we can do for now, at least for another 9 minutes. So I'm going to wait the 9 minutes and then we can skip the battle at the end, because that's what I said is the best thing to do, and it is the best thing to do, really. It's the fastest way to progress anyway. And so, if we're being optimal, that is what we'll do. But there are guard insignias on lap 8. There are also guard insignias on lap 13. There's heroic orbs chests on lap 14 as well. So there is some good stuff. There is some good stuff. But free to play, if you're gemming a little bit, you're probably not going to get too much beyond about here. Probably about lap 18 is where you should aim for, to be honest. But depends on how busy you are and how diligently you're logging in. It is possible to do it free to play. I've done it many, many times, but it depends on your life at that given moment. If you've got places to be, places to go, and you can't log in all the time, so be it. IRL is IRL, and it's more important. So, outside of that, I think that is all of the new stuff. Make sure you are collecting your daily insignias. And can I just say, with these VIP trials, they just feel so pointless to me, because like you just fight the same karma dragons over and over again at the moment, and they just give you some whatever dragons. Maybe that's just me being judgmental, but like these VIP trials, they just seem so whatever. Like you can get a free legendary, sure, and like orbs for them, but it's a bit whatever. Personally, I don't really care for it too much, but free stuff, I guess I shouldn't complain. So that is the main brunt of the stuff that you should be focusing on for right now. Like I mentioned, we do have arena at the moment, Twitch. I'm at 9995. Can I actually beat this battle? I mean, they've got 1 level 70, a 45, and just Potato Torture, which I think is a fantastic team. Definitely a set of dragons that all make sense together, definitely so. But luckily we do have Mochimu who can katana these guys, and Potato Torture is dead instantly from that. Obviously the reason why I use my Walking Dead dragon is because she does reduce the damage that we take, and plus at the same time she will negate crits at the same time. It's just when you're going against High Master Karma, who knows how many times he's actually going to end up blocking. So you could go into this expecting to easily win, and then High Master Karma might block you 700 million billion times. So it's just the way that it be. And now if I put him in, he's still going to get hit anyway. Maybe I should have just thrown him in originally as it was and not let Mochimu die. But now it's just going to come down to RNG. So let's see. Let's see. Do we have an easy time with High Master Karma, or does he absolutely destroy our butthole today? We're doing okay so far, but it's going to be a close one. Okay, he didn't block. Easy clap. Could have gone differently, but I think we're okay here. So there is that. But I can actually level up my high Ashwing, and I probably should. Ball handler, I think he's close-ish to E5. If you did have high Toy Town, a few drops from that from the previous arena, you're obviously going to have an easy time here. But there are tons of good dragons available, like High Corrupted Time. There's also Redemption Malice. So if you don't have a good third dragon, or you just want to bring your other dragons back to life, you can just throw in Redemption Malice, especially if you get him out of one of those chests. But there are so many different dragon options. We've also got Giga Guard. If you've been empowering your Giga Guard to a high level, then yeah, you can use Giga Guard in this arena as well. Just so many options. Vampires, Titans, Karmas, like Endurance Karma. There are so many in Metal Arena, so good luck with that is all I have to say. And some of these battles we might run into harder ones, we might run into easy ones. The Walking Dead Dragon will definitely help somewhat, but it's one of the weaker arenas that we've got going on for us at the moment until we level up our Ashwing a bit more anyway. But just be aware that that exists, and you can see what you can get out of the chests, such as the metal totems, which you can get for the collection stuff, and then obviously get your hands on potentially Haunted Hottie and Malice, which I think is a lovely box. But anyway, I guess that is everything that I wanted to go through for now, so I hope that that all made sense if you're a new player to these events. At the end of the day, High TelekInetic is not going to be the best dragon ever, because heroic VIPs exist, but I would still recommend that you pick her up and try your best in the event. And plus, if you do well in the event, you're also going to have points in the leaderboard, which it looks like we have a massive gemmer in our leaderboard, unless they've just spent their maze coins, and I haven't spent my maze coins yet. But if you see anyone that's going crazy in your leaderboard, it's going to be because of how many nodes they've completed in the heroic race, because nodes give you 200 per node. It is a lot. So you definitely want to be very mindful of that and do the best that you can for multiple event reasons. So all that I can do for now is wish you the best of luck and hope that you can get your hands on everything that you want. So yeah, good luck.